Hello, everyone. I'm your host, Parth Khemka, and welcome to the fourth episode of the Unstuck Mindset Show, where we connect you with your favorite entrepreneurs who have successfully mastered the power of the mindset. Now, we all come here to share with you the insider secrets and stories of how you can also master your mindset and achieve your dreams. Before we move forward, let me introduce you to our guest, Lauren Turton. Lauren is a revenue expansion specialist for wellness experts, and she has successfully worked with over 200 companies on their marketing, branding, advertising, and events. She has produced over 100 events, and her clients include companies listed in the Fortune 500 and Forbes richest list. So, without further ado, I would like to welcome our guest, Lauren Turton. Thank you so much for being here, Lauren. How are you doing?
I'm so good today, and I'm so honored and excited to be here and connect with your audience. Thank you so much for having me.
Mhm. Well, thank you so much for being here, Lauren, once again. So, Lauren, can you take us all the way back to the time when you had motivation to start something on your own? How exactly you chose entrepreneurship as something which you wanted to do?
Well, the entrepreneurial lifestyle chose me. And the
Hmm.
reason why it chose me is because what my parents ingrained in me as a child. When I was 8 years old, I remember asking my mom to buy me a candy bar. And she said to me, "No, we feed you breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I'm not going to buy you a candy bar. You need to buy it yourself." And I said, "Well, Mom, how do I buy a candy bar? I don't have any money." She said, "Figure it out." And so I figured it out. I found someone that had a skill set that I didn't have, and I asked them to teach me that skill. And that skill was making necklaces and bracelets. So at
Hmm.
8 years old, I learned how to make necklaces and bracelets, and then I sold them to my parents' friends and the local candy shop where I had wanted to buy candy from. I asked them if I could put my bracelets and necklaces on a shelf and sell it to their customers. So
Wow.
that was how I first started as an entrepreneur. Now, in my 20s and in my adult life, I started working. I didn't go to college. I didn't go to university. I dropped out several times and I was always working. And so during that time, I was working in different restaurants and bars. Here in America, we make tips. And so we're able to live a good life off of the tips that we make. And so I remember thinking to myself as I was a server and a bartender, how can I do better on these shifts? How can I make more money? And so I had that mindset on those bar and serving shifts. And then during that time, I started my first business.
Hmm.
So
And
that's how I got into the entrepreneurial world, was from what my parents instilled in me.
oh, that's amazing because I can see here that you figured it out on your own, and that's pretty fantastic. Well, so like, what were your dreams and goals at that moment? Like, what exactly you wanted to accomplish out of your life?
So I'm originally from the Midwest. I'm from a state called Ohio, which is in the middle of America. And for me growing up, I always knew that I needed to move to California because California was the place that had the lifestyle and the weather that I wanted. So that was always goal number one for me, was to move to California and live that lifestyle that I wanted. And I actually moved to California for the first time when I was 18 years old, and I was only able to live there for 1 year. I had to go back to Ohio, and then I moved here again when I was 26 years old. I'm 34 now, so I've been here for 8 years. So for me, the first step of achieving my dreams and my goals was living in a location that had amazing weather and an amazing lifestyle. Now, with that being said, I told you earlier, I didn't go to college. I didn't go to university. I dropped out several times. I was always working. And I knew when I was working that there was something greater for me out there, and that I wanted to have my own company. I wanted to have my own business. And it took me several failed attempts to finally have a successful business. So that's a tip that I can give anyone out there. Keep trying, keep pursuing, keep figuring it out, because eventually you will reach the success that you want to achieve.
Mhm. Well, my next question was exactly related to the passion, like how does a person finds his passion? So what are you saying is if a person wants to find something which he really excited is really excited about, he should really keep trying until and unless he gets that kick out of that business. Is that what you mean?
So for me, I always knew I wanted to have a business, but I hadn't tapped into what my big why was.
Hmm.
And once I tapped into what my big why was, then my business soared. So that would be the first step in finding your motivation. What is your big why? What motivates you? Is it providing for your family? Is it one day having enough money to send a loved one off to university? What is your big why? Once you tap deep into what your big why is, that is going to motivate you and propel you forward every single day because you're doing it for a reason outside of yourself. It's something deeper, means more. So on the days when business is hard, because yes, having your own business is difficult, it's not easy, you need something that's going to keep you thriving.
Hmm. Well, there is something that I really want to ask is like you said that you started your journey when you started making necklaces and then you did a bartender thing, right? So
Mm-hmm.
in your mind, wasn't it never a question like I should do a job or something, or like parents
Oh,
says, that you have to do with something job and all that stuff. From the starting, you were like something like I want to do something of my own.
yeah. So I've always had a job.
Hmm.
I've always had a job. So I started working full time when I was 16 years old, and I worked for other companies and had a job until I was 32 years old. So for
Wow.
16 years, I was working for other companies and I had a job. Now, with that being said, I also, during different times, had my own side hustle, small companies on the side. So I knew when I had these jobs that I was also wanting to be an entrepreneur. And I, like I said earlier, I had several failed companies. I would say like four of them. And when I say failed, let's say learning experiences,
Hmm.
because nothing is a failure. So I had side hustles as I had these jobs. So there's nothing wrong with having a job if you need
Hmm.
to pay the bills and keep a roof over your head and keep food in your stomach and provide for your family. Yes, of course, have a job, but
Hmm.
also have your side hustle and pursuing keep pursuing that calling, because you will eventually get to the point where you break through the income level you need to, and then you can get rid of that job and then pursue your company full time. Now there's some people in life who are in a position where they don't need to have a job.
Hmm.
They maybe have parents that are helping them, or they have money saved up, whatever it may be. And if you are in that position, then go all in on pursuing your company full time.
Hmm.
Now, another tip that I saw earlier this week, I saw on a Gary Vee video. Somebody had called in and asked Gary Vee, well, Gary, I have to have a job. I have to have, I have to provide for my family. I have to have a roof over my head. And he said, get a job that has to do with your dream or your goal.
Wow.
Leverage that job. So let's say you wanted to be you wanted to create video games. He told the person, go work in a video game store or go get an internship at a video game place. So, think in that mindset as well. How can I leverage the job that I have for my future?
Hmm. And thank you so much for sharing that all tips with the audience. Now, Lauren, when you were starting your business, there is a time when we are pushing all in that time, but we are also continuously learning, right? So,
Always learning.
so what was that some of the resources that you think that were the most useful for you to learn in your industry, or did you just learn from your failures?
So I have found many experts to buy courses or programs from, and I've invested in coaching as well. And that for me has been the greatest way that I've shot off my growth, because I invested in a program, a course, or a coach. That's taken things to a whole new level. And I know that something when people are first starting out, they are nervous about investing. They're nervous about spending the money on a coach or a program or a course. And I'm telling you right now, once you spend that money and you do it,
Mm-hmm.
it makes you more accountable because you spent the money. And then also there's somebody on the other side that's going to be working with you and have more resources for you. So that would be something that I definitely advise people on. If you're scared or you're nervous about spending that money, don't be. It's going to end up coming back to you tenfold.
Mm-hmm. And like, what were some of the hardest challenges you faced when you actually started your journey, when you actually found your passion?
So I officially started my company 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And it was after I worked in the event production world for 5 years. I used to be a large scale, high budget event producer. I worked at an amazing firm. We handled really, really large accounts. And due to the owner having some health complications, she had to shut the company down. So that's when I started my own company. And with starting my own company, wait, sorry, I forgot. What was the question?
Well, one of the hardest challenges that you faced
Ah,
when you, right.
So the hardest challenge that I faced when I started my company was I had my services and I was working with clients one-to-one. And I realized that I needed to take all of my offers and services and put them online into an online program, and in order to scale. So for me, that was the hardest challenge, was not necessarily starting the company and getting clients. I was able to get 15 clients like as soon as I launched the company because
Mm-hmm.
of the previous work I did. But I would say the biggest challenge was the realization of how to scale the company and putting my services into an online program.
Mm-hmm.
And that took me about 6 months of working with clients one-to-one. And I was like, what am I doing? Like, I'm not able to scale this. I can only work with people one-to-one X amount of hours per week. So that for me was probably the hardest realization.
Mm-hmm.
So going back, if I had to look back, I would have put my services online into a program first. So
Mm-hmm.
if anybody's thinking about, where they're at with their business and starting a business, start looking at having an online based business.
And so now you are at a position where you know how to get 15 or 20 clients a month, but you have to be personally with them, right? Because you're doing one-on-one coaching. Now, at that moment, Lauren, I can imagine that you must be having a lot of self-doubts, that if how will I do this? Will I be able to do this and that? And in this journey, when people are actually starting new, they have a lot of self-doubt, that limiting beliefs. So how did you exactly overcome those and you kept, pursuing your passion?
One of the things that I struggled with at first with taking my services online, creating an online program, and wanting to scale was I was comparing myself to others and where they were
Hmm.
at in their journey and saying, oh, wow, look what she's accomplished. Look what she's done. I can never do that. And it seemed very overwhelming because I was comparing myself. I wasn't staying in my lane. So for anyone who's having self-doubt or limiting beliefs about what you're about to start, stay in your lane and don't compare yourself to others. Look at others and see what they're doing and maybe implement some of those strategies and get ideas and inspiration from them, but don't compare yourself to them because they're at a different place in your journey, in their journey than where you are. And then another way that I, battle my limiting beliefs, because I still have them. Even though I've achieved success, I still have limiting beliefs. It happens. I talk back to them. Instead of
Hmm.
suppressing the limiting beliefs, I speak to them, I talk back to them, and I tell them, you're not correct. I know that you're a limiting belief. I know that I can accomplish this. And then I move forward.
Well, can
So
you
don't,
give can you give us a little example of this? I'm
yeah,
curious.
I'll give you, yeah. So this last week, I took a photo of myself
Hmm.
and the photo I took of myself showed some of my stomach, and
Mhm.
my weight has always gone up and down. So I went through a phase in my life where I was really self conscious about how my body looked. And when I was looking at this picture, those limiting beliefs came in
Mhm.
and said, like, you're not fit enough, you're not in good enough shape, you don't look good. All of those thoughts started coming in. I said back to them, thank you for appearing. I understand why you're here. You're the old mindset coming in to try to bring
Mhm.
me down.
Mhm.
I'm not going to let you bring me down. I look great how I am. I'm proud of my body. I'm going to post this picture and I'm going to get over this limiting belief. And that's exactly how I went through the process of when they started coming in was, hey, wait a minute, I see you. I hear here. Thanks for stopping in limiting belief. Let's have a conversation together.
Well, during that moment, Lauren, like let's just say that you have a limiting belief right now. What happens is at that time you're fighting that limiting belief and you're able to do that, but suddenly there's some point where your friend come or someone out of the environment comes and say, oh, you're looking fat, that actually doubles that limiting beliefs, so what my question here is, obviously related to entrepreneurship, like if someone is starting their business and he's telling himself, no, I can do it, this is made for me. But if someone comes from the outside says, dude, just get a job, man, you cannot do it, and that they instantly press that remote that generates a lot of limiting beliefs and all that stuff in the person mindset. So right now, even right now, do you listen to those kind of people, or even if they say something to you, how do you deal with that?
So, one thing that's really helpful is to start to learn when you're reacting or responding to something.
Hmm.
And I often feel like when you're first starting off as an entrepreneur, you might not know how to respond yet to things. Instead, you're coming from a reactive space because you're nervous, you're intimidated, and so if somebody from the outside comes in and says something like that to you, you might react, being like, "Oh, that person's right. I can't do it." Da 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 da.
Hmm.
Or "You're wrong. I can do it," and you're reacting rather than responding. So if somebody from the outside comes in, an acquaintance, a friend, a family member, because you will get people who say this stuff to you. Usually it's the people who are closest to you too, which is like
Hmm.
such a hard thing. Your parents, they'll say, no, you need to go get a job or an education, or you need to do this, you need to do that. First, don't react. Take a moment, take in what they said, and then respond. And always respond with gratitude. Thank you so much for your concern. I appreciate that you care about me. I'd love to have a conversation with you about what my dreams and my goals are, and what my plan is to achieve these dreams and goals. I think that you'll have a different reaction to me when I explain to you that everything that's going on. And just try to have these genuine, open conversations with people. Now, if they're still saying, no, go get a job, no, do this, then you might have to evaluate your interactions with that person, which can be really difficult. I've had to stop friendships with people because as
Hmm.
an entrepreneur, people don't understand, or you have to change the conversation you have with your parents, and it's part of the game and it's a choice that you're going to make. So yeah, you're going to go through these difficult situations, but like I said, if you're responding rather than reacting, it's going to end up being a much better flow.
Hmm. you know right now what is happening when a lot of people start their entrepreneur journey, they're in the back of the mindset, they're always thinking about the money. I want to earn a lot of money, that's why I want to start this business, that's the main reason. So can you just guide all of those a little bit about that? Like, should we have money as the main mission when we're starting the business, or there is another way going around to have more success in that?
So your objection, your so if it's a product-based business or a service-based business, what problem are you solving for the person on the other end?
Hmm.
That needs to be what's at the forefront of your business. And then the money will come because you're genuinely solving a problem for someone. And the other part is, of course, money is the reason why you want to start a business. You want to have financial freedom. You want to have location freedom. You want to have time freedom. You don't want to work for a boss. You want to have money, right? So another way that I have found that's helpful on how to wrap your head around money is that it's all math.
Hmm.
So let's say you want to make $5,000 a month. At first on your journey, that might seem impossible. How am I going to make $5,000 a month? How am I going to make $10,000 a month? How am I going to make $100,000 a month? You say to yourself, this is how much money I need to make to support myself and my family. Goal one, $5,000 a month. From there, you break it down. Okay, I have an offer that's $500 a course. How many courses do you need to sell to reach 5,000?
Mm.
Okay, well, now I have an offer that's $2,000. How many do I need to sell? Same with product-based businesses. If you're, I don't know, flipping iPhone cases and selling
Hmm.
iPhone cases, how many iPhone cases do you need to sell to reach your goal of $5,000? And that is a way for me that has made money not as intimidating or so much as the driving factor, is
Hmm.
because now it's a math problem rather than this emotional based goal that you have. Does that make sense?
Completely.
Okay.
Because, what I think is if a person is chasing money, then he is forgetting all the other important aspects that actually will bring the money in the first place. And that's why it's important to know that you need to remove your focus from the money and to actually what you're selling and how you can help people, right?
Yes, how you can help people. And then, like I said, of course, money is part of the situation of having a business. So, yes, have your goals, but don't make it this an emotional based, I need to make $10,000 a month. No, okay, I need to make $10,000 a month, and this is how I'm going to achieve it.
Hmm. Also, I have one another very interesting questions that that I think you would love to answer because I think you have also experienced it. Including me. What is happening is when you start something, then you instantly have a lot of ideas. I can do this. I can do that. I can do that. Now I have a freaking notebook and I have written all the ideas that I have that I can use. But the problem I face is that every time I'm starting an idea, I want to have all of those ideas implemented at once. I want to start this as well. I want to start this as well, this as well. So, what's your approach on that? Like, if a person has a lot of ideas, should he stack on it or should he work all of them at once? And does that go?
One
Number
at a
one.
time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Pick one, focus on one, get that developed out, get it flushed out, get it launched, get it going, then start the next idea.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next idea and the next idea. You just want to have all your focus and all your energy on one idea at a time, because otherwise you're going to be scattered and it's not going to come out and it's in its best form. So pick one, move forward with it, and then add on after that.
Hmm. So by that time, we can just keep that in the notebook that after this is done, then I'm going to start this, right? Mm-hmm.
Yes, yes. Of
Mm-hmm.
course, keep track of your ideas. Yes. And you're going to learn, like, as you develop one idea and get that launched and get it going, keep track of all your data, everything you have going on. And then when you launch the next idea, you're going to be able to do it even better, quicker, in a more productive way.
Mm-hmm. So, Lauren, what is the first step that every aspiring entrepreneur should take when they're starting their journey?
Yes, this is such an important question. And it's something I'm so passionate about. My first recommendation for those who are starting out in their entrepreneurial journey is to work on yourself first.
Mhm.
Clear out any past traumas, your limiting beliefs. Do a deep dive on what's happening with yourself. If you need to go to therapy, do breath work, Reiki, whatever tools you need to do to work on yourself first. Clear out all of that energy that's sitting in your brain, your heart, and in your body, because you need to make more space for creativity, abundance, and all of the things that come with being an entrepreneur. And if all of your past traumas and limiting beliefs are sitting within you as you start the journey, you don't have space for all this new stuff that needs to come in. So that's my first recommendation for those on this wonderful entrepreneurial journey, is to work on clearing out past traumas.
Mhm. Okay. Now, I have one personal question as well for me. Okay. So, as you said that we need to work on our mindset. So, when I wake up, I do a lot of meditation stuff and affirmations and, to keep my mindset right. But what I feel is sometimes what happens, like, because I'm in sales particularly, so I have to do role plays, I have to talk to people and all that stuff in my business as well. Sometimes what happens is I have so much must haves in the morning, and for
Mm.
and consecutively I also have a lot of work to do that I need to complete, right? So what happens sometimes, I do the work that is, on a project basis. I do it first, and then I forget about the mindset and the affirmations that I will do it later on or not. So, for you, how do you actually go through that? Like, no matter what happens, you wake up and you do the affirmation and the mindset meditation every day. Because for me, the things that I do, if I sit there and I do it, it'll probably take me like two 2 hours or something to get all of my must haves done, and then starting to work on my projects.
Yeah, so what I do is I have my Monday through Friday schedule,
Hmm.
and I have my morning routine schedule, and then I have my morning work routine schedule. And I have structured it so that my meditation and my book reading, because I like to read like 20 minutes a day,
Hmm.
is part of my morning work routine schedule.
Ah, okay.
So when I sit down at my desk at 9 a.m., the first thing I do is meditate and then read, and then I start my work projects.
Mm.
Because I've found that in the morning, because I wake up at 7 and I like to start work at 9, and I have found that I can't meditate right when I wake up because I'm very sleepy. I'm not a morning person. I don't like,
Mhm.
it takes me a long time to wake up. So
Right.
I need to meditate after my body has been moving around. So from 7 to 9, I'm walking my dog. I might do a workout in the morning, getting dressed, getting in the shower, and then at 9 o'clock when I sit down to work, meditation.
Hmm.
So that's what I've found for myself to work. Um, I just recommend making your schedule, your personal morning routine schedule, and then the first things that you do as a business owner, whatever is on your list, add in meditating either in your morning personal routine or your work schedule routine,
Hmm. Well,
because
because
you need to do it in the morning.
right, because I have already scheduled it. Like, it's in my whole schedule that I want to do this first thing in the morning. But sometimes I'm so tensed about the work, all that stuff, that every
No,
time I wake up, I want to get back on the work and finish it, like, no matter what happens.
No, first do your meditation, because like you said, how many times happens that you get up and you start working, and then next thing you know, the whole day has gone by and you haven't done that mindset work.
Right.
So just make it part of your work schedule. I'm not going to start work until I meditate.
Mm. Hmm. Thank you so much for
Yeah,
that, man.
don't like, and I struggled with that too. Even today, I felt myself getting into that because we were communicating earlier than when I normally start my work stuff.
Hmm.
And I started feeling like, oh, I need to get on my laptop and I need to
Exactly.
check this and I need to do that. And then I said, Nope. Meditate.
Mm,
So it's just going to be a self-discipline thing.
hmm. Right. Thank you so much. Okay.
Mhm.
So, what are some of the strategies that you use to overcome your limiting beliefs exactly?
So, like I said earlier, I talk back to them. You know, first I acknowledge them, I address them, and I talk back to them. And then something else that I've done is I've taken the time to go back and figure out where that limiting belief is coming from.
Mm,
Why did I have that limiting belief about the way that I looked last week? I'm in the best shape of my life right now. So where was that coming from? And I went back and figured it out. It was from a time when I was not in shape and very heavy. And that mindset was coming back in to talk to me. So also
mm,
figuring out where are these limiting beliefs coming from will help you as you're acknowledging them. Did you have a parent who used to tell you you weren't good enough? Did you have a sibling that used to, I don't know, beat you up? Did you have any, all that stuff from your past that comes into play now, and it will keep coming into play. So figuring out where it's coming from will help you overcome as well.
mhm. And what are some of the strategies that all the people that are watching right now, they want to start a new business? What are the strategies that they can use to figure out what are their ideal clients?
Okay, so this is one of my favorite
Hmm.
ways to figure out who your future ideal client is. So, for most of you out there, you know that you're going to end up picking a niche that you need to work with. And you need to pick a niche because it comes down to marketing. Yes, you can work with people outside of your niche, but first you got to get your marketing message down. So, yes, you are going to have to pick a niche to work with. So, once you've kind of started figuring out who it is you want to work with, now start thinking of the younger version of yourself. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean age, it means experience wise. So for me, the younger version of myself was when I was working with clients one to one. And then I took my services online by creating an online program. That is my number one passion with the clients I work with.
Hmm.
We take our clients out of the one-on-one space and we create online programs for them. So I am so passionate about working with people who are still working with clients one-to-one, because I know the pains and the struggles and the turmoil and the heartache that come from working with clients one-to-one. So that's the younger version of myself. What's an
Hmm.
obstacle that you've overcome? What's something that you now know that you can help other people with? It's a
Hmm.
great way to figure out who your ideal client is, the younger
Hmm.
version of yourself.
Then you can also figure out what exactly you're passionate about because you've already done it, right?
Exactly. You've already done it and you know how to fix the problem.
Hmm. Hmm. So, Lauren, if anyone watching this show right now needs your help to get started, how can that person learn from you?
So I actually have a free download,
Hmm.
and this download includes blueprints so that you can start creating your own online program. It
Wow.
has it has a 20-minute tutorial that goes with the download. I think it's like 8 blueprints, and it has examples in there as well. So
Hmm.
you can start creating your own online program so that you can have location freedom, time freedom, and financial freedom. And you can get this download at www.thewealthywellnesssystem.com/SPLM.
Hmm. Well, I'm going to share that link with every other audience out there so I can put that link in the interview. And second thing, this is a giveaway. That means this is free, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Now, does that also mean that every person who's watching this show right now shouldn't have any excuse to not to go online and start, their journey, right?
Exactly. It's a free download.
Hmm. Exactly. Okay. Okay. So, in the last, what do you think about the mission that the Unstuck Mindset show is on?
I think it's unbelievable and so powerful what you're doing, because so many people don't have a community or network that is
Hmm.
talking about this type of stuff. And that is such a hard place to be in when you know deep down that you're on a mission, but you don't have anyone to talk to about it, or you
Hmm.
don't have any resources. So I absolutely love what you're doing and the community that you're creating, because you're going to be able to help so many people. And that's another thing for all of those that are on this journey as an entrepreneur. I mentioned this earlier. You might need to reevaluate friendships and relationships that you have with people, and start to take a look at the conversations that are being held during your time with friends and family. And if you realize that they're gossip based conversations, or you're just talking about other people and there's no substance there, no
Hmm.
one's talking about mindset, no one's talking about pursuing your dreams, no one's talking about these things, start to take note of who you can have these conversations with, and then set boundaries with conversations. Now, I understand you're at a family gathering, especially in certain parts of the world, family gatherings last for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours.
Hmm.
And you realize there's no one there that you can talk to. So start having that realization, and maybe set some boundaries about what it is you are going to talk to people about, or take a book with you and say, hey, I'm going to read this book while you guys are doing the family stuff, and
Hmm.
start putting yourself into this elevated space. Now, when you're on your own time, make sure you're engaging in online communities where people are talking about this stuff. Because if that's the only place where you can find this, you need to go in on having these conversations, asking questions, reaching out to people. I've had several people say to me, I don't know anyone that talks about this stuff. I don't know anyone. And they're
Hmm.
the first people online. If I post something, or, hey, Lauren, thank you so much for posting this. I appreciate it. I need it. Let people know that you need to have this type of community, because it's going to get difficult. So yes, thank you for what you've created, because it's going to help so many people have that space to have these conversations and get this type of information.
Hmm. Thank you so much for appreciating this. I really
Mm-hmm.
thank you to be on this show, and you're sharing all your information, your journey with every people, every person who's watching this show right now. And other thing, if anyone who's watching this show right now, they want to join the Unstuck Mindset group, they can join that for sure, because Lauren is also there. And if you have any questions, these are the kind of people you can really go out and you can ask them, because why? The reason is that if you're alone and you don't have anyone you can match your frequency with, then these are the kind of people that you can talk to, and they'll exactly help you to achieve your dreams, right? Hmm.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. I'm here for you. So if you need anything, reach out to me in the group, and I'm more than happy to have a conversation with you about what's happening in your life.
Hmm. Thank you so much, Lauren, for being here on the show, and I really appreciate your help.
Thank you for having me.